Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. So, New York has recently signed gun legislation, Governor Hochul there, where they want to make it illegal for you to wear body armor. Now, this is insane. This is not a gun, but it's covered in these gun legislation that they recently passed. And I mean, this is a government that literally is fine forcing you to put a dirty rag over your face for just to go out of your house and go into a restaurant. But then if you want to wear something to defend yourself from the gun violence that occasionally happens in some of these places, then suddenly it's like, no, you can't wear that. Well, what on earth are they thinking there? How is this not a complete violation of our constitutional rights? You guys have any thoughts on this?
Well, what next? What next? So they're gonna ban cars. That's the next thing because a criminal will potentially use it to go commit a crime. So the next thing will be the ban cars. None of us will be able. All the law-abiding citizens and all the good drivers on the road, we will not be able to drive anymore. We will not have Uber and Lyft to take us where we want to go because a criminal might use a car, just might use a car to go someplace to commit a crime. Don't you see the insanity of these people? Imagine that. It's just like Justin Trudeau. You don't have a right to self-defense. Here in the United States, here we are creeping along. We can't even put on a piece of clothing. It's not an offensive weapon, but we can't even put that on to protect ourselves against some criminal out there. Just because a criminal might do the same thing when he's encountering a law enforcement officer. God help us with these people.
Well, if we all go back and start beating on each other with clubs because we don't have the right to use guns, then maybe these maybe similar things to protect ourselves, like maybe it'll be against the law to have a catcher's mask on your face to protect you from the club that now has to be used to beat you to death with or whatever. I don't know. It's called crazy. So that's why I'm saying crazy stuff, because this is just that crazy. It's just ridiculous. And it's not going to stop anybody from, oh gosh, I can't wear body armor legally, so I'm not going to go illegally into a school with a rifle and shoot everybody up. I'm going to. That's going to stop me because I'm not either. Whatever. Seriously, that's some flawed thinking there.
Yeah. Well, the whole gun control debate, the whole gun control is really based on flawed thinking. Which criminal is going to stop acquiring an illegal gun just because the government come along and say, "Oh, we're not going to have, nobody's going to have guns anymore." You think a criminal is going to stop because of that? You think he's going to stop from going to harm somebody if he or she decides to do this? Who's going to stop because of some stupid gun control law?
Well, let's say that their utopia, gunless utopia, is achieved somehow, which it can't, but just for the sake of argument, then we would be ruled by the young, the strong, and the many. And they would have their way with us with sticks and clubs and knives and whatever else they could, rocks and whatever they could use to attack with. So yeah, a gun-free society is a very, very dangerous society, and history just proves that because the murder rates used to be a lot higher back when they were using pitchforks and clubs to kill you with, and you had no way of defending yourself because that required Colonel Colt to come along. So, Michael, what do you think?
Well, and I think this is a really good example of what I was saying in the last show when this is why we have to get the right people elected. This was created by elected people. And I would be willing to bet that if and when it goes to court, that it'll ultimately be found constitutional and legal. That doesn't mean I agree with it. I just, don't get me wrong. It's just that I would put money that the courts will be okay with it. Again, I don't agree with it, but I'll bet you the courts will. So that's why we need to concentrate. People need to do what the Constitution is designed to do, and that's make sure that your elected officials are doing what you want them to do. Get them elected or get them unelected. Show up and help them campaign or help campaign for the person who's running against them. I think it's crucial because Of course, none of this makes any sense at all. None of it's logical. It isn't really about public safety. And like you said, it's not an offensive thing; it's a defensive thing. So we got to get the right people elected. I don't. It's not the only way to right the ship, but it's an extremely important way. It's also a very hard way to do it, which is why it's often a neglected way.
Yeah. Well, it certainly helps to get the right people elected. But one of the things, too, we like to emphasize as libertarians is we've just got to get in people's minds that everything that's your preference doesn't need to be done through government. I mean, so many people, they just get this knee-jerk reaction. I want something, or I have some preference for society, so I want to force it on everybody else through government. And if we could just, get the word out there to try and get people to understand, usually when government gets the power to do something, it does a terrible job with it. I mean, if COVID didn't convince people of that, I don't know what would.
What will? That's such a good point. Look at this. The thing that happened in Uvalde, Texas. Okay, it was tragic. There's no doubt about that. Nobody will argue about the tragedy of that situation. But look at what happened as a result. Oh, they got to do something. We got to do something about gun control. We got to do something about gun violence, which is a stupid term to start with. We got to do something. We got to do something. So the government is going to do something. Every week in Chicago, I am sure there are more people killed and murdered in Chicago. I am sure about that with guns.
You know what? That's an excellent segue, Leon. And let me get you right back to that. But if we get the visual on this, because this is a perfect story to segue on. And in Chicago, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the nation. And I was seeing an article that said they rank about 8th now because some of them got struck down recently or something like that. But regardless, they're certainly among the more policed on gun laws of any place else. Well, they were literally filming an episode of a news show where they were interviewing, talking with a reporter about gun violence. And what happened while this reporter was standing there? A person literally walked by and pointed a gun at the cameraman as they were doing the interview. So, it's like, I'm not sure what they think they're accomplishing with all of these gun laws, but they just keep passing them and they don't seem to be getting the desired results. You guys wanted to jump in on that?
But I just want to finish one thought here, Jason, okay?
Yeah.
This word, gun violence, is so nonsensical, it's unbelievable. There's no such thing as gun violence, okay? No gun does just jump out of a holster and start shooting somebody, okay? Somebody have to pick up that gun and fire it. So this word, we have to do something about gun violence. It is nonsense. It is garbage. We have to do something about the people. We have to do something about the people who are using guns to commit violent acts against other people. That's what we have to do something about.
Well, I think we need to do something about car drunken driving, cars that drive drunk.
Yeah, we do something about the cars, not about the drunk drivers, about the cars.
About the drunk driving cars, whatever.
Yeah, the drunk driving cars. Yeah.
Too much ethanol in the fuel? Is that what's going on?
The car is highly intoxicated. It might pass out shortly. Who knows? And suddenly harm somebody all by itself.
Chicago has made a number of public policy mistakes in the last 40 years. I mean, they're the example of how not to run a government. They've really screwed up entire communities of people in Chicago, and it's been sad and tragic. But one of the worst ways is by disarming people in the hopes that criminals will, decide to obey that one law. That's the law they're going to obey is the one to not have firearms. And a major Supreme Court case was won as far as Second Amendment in Chicago, the McDonald versus Chicago case, which is great. But it's still just a mess of a city, and until they, there's so much to fix. But at least in the meantime, they should give people the ability and respect their right to be able to defend themselves. If they can't run their city properly, they should at least allow people to defend their life.
Exactly. And Michael, I know your organization is nonpartisan, but in all of these major cities where you've seen these major crime surges, in all of them, Democrats running them, and they have been running them for a long, long time. All of these cities.
Agreed. And in all those cities where Democrats are screwing up, there's a Republican, doing nothing about it. I mean, it's just...
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's why we're nonpartisan.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always.